Hi everyone, it's me, a sad, dishevelled, deflated Ethan McKinley. It's episode 18. We're going from minutes 34 to 36. This is the 2-Minute Terminator, where we break down the Terminator films
2 minutes at a time.
Across
it's literally
me.
the only bit of the beginning that I ever remember.
Well, you did an intro once, didn't you?
And it was so bad.
Never let me do an intro again. You hated it.
It was bad.
The reason I'm deflated, we'll get to after the opening credits.
Let's not dwell on your laurels, Ethan.
The laurels are fine. The sound works on those. Ellie, I know you remember this part of the intro.
Hit the music.
Yeah, I think this guy's a couple cans short of a six-pack.
Howdy, stranger.
Don't say howdy, stranger, to me.
Load up.
You didn't do the fourth.
Thank God. It sucked.
Yes, hello everyone. This is the 2-Minute Terminator. We break down the Terminator films 2 minutes at a time. We watch 2 minutes of Terminator and then we talk about it, hopefully, and make you laugh for about 20 minutes. It is episode 18, 34 to 36, the 2 minutes bridging that gap. It opens with the T-1000 pouring himself through a windscreen. I know how that feels. And it ends with
That was you on Sunday.
Jai Courtney playing... it kind of was. That was...
Saturday.
Ends with Jai Courtney. See, I know my book ends this time. Jai Courtney saying, "I don't know, I saw it grab him as I went through," referring, of course, to Jason Clarke's John Connor being attacked by Skynet / Doctor Who's Matt Smith, who was assimilating him into a nanobot Terminator.
Question.
Yes, dear.
Just from what you said, and I hadn't actually thought about it when I was
to
writing my
apologise.
notes on the train, whilst some dude next to me was also writing, and we were literally playing elbow
We're
war.
having an elbow
I
war.
was like, get this guy. Like, he wasn't scared at all. He was just like,
not scared of you.
"No, move out the way." I was like, whoa.
Hi.
I'd be like, "Excuse me, I'm doing important stuff here." How did Jai know that it was a Terminator that grabbed John?
Well, if he'd been battling robots and then he gets attacked from behind by a man with a wibbly wobbly head. I mean,
He didn't have a wibbly wobbly.
No,
head.
in the sense that Matt Smith has a certain look about him. He looks like he has some form of syndrome.
Yeah, but he's managed to infiltrate them to the point where he's obviously of some kind of high position. You wouldn't be just standing behind John Connor willy-nilly. How did he necessarily... He was in the time machine. He saw him put his hand around his mouth, but how would you necessarily know that was actually a Terminator?
Well, because his hand was glowing.
Dude, the guy was surrounded by blue flashing lights.
If Jai was
like a rave in there.
If Jai was a naive sort, I would suggest...
Dude, Jai is an absolute...
I would suggest... John Connor said... Right, he's in the time stream, everyone. You can now say what you really want about him, because he's a bit of a dick, isn't he?
They're like, "Shut up!"
And the only person this whole time who wanted to get rid of Carl Reese, who didn't like him, was John Connor. And he was going, you mother beep, 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 beep. And then someone went, "Enough, John, cover your mouth."
It could have been anything.
Although, if you were battling futuristic killer robots, you'd only assume if he had a glowing hand over your boss's mouth.
But again, at what stage...
He's either lighting a cigarette...
Yeah, but at what stage have they seen any Terminators in their time frame that can do that?
Well, none, but
They
I mean,
haven't.
there's a lot of experimental things running around, as evidenced by Marcus Wright, if we're going as a continuous timeline.
I don't know,
Terminator
he just
Salvation.
seemed very sure about something that he virtually didn't see, and
By
yet
the way,
all the
Ellie, I
stuff
have
he's
to
experiencing and seeing...
Commend you on the show today. You're really
Right.
bringing the thunder. Well done. I like it.
Oh, God.
It's a big action sequence. There's a little moment actually when Jai Courtney finally shoots the grenade, and as we learned in the last episode, if you shot a 40mm grenade from that particular launcher, it wouldn't ignite because you need to be a certain distance away from where you're standing for the grenade to kind of arm itself and engage and actually explode. Having said that, when it does explode, Sarah kind of gives him a kind of look as like, "Oh, there's more to this doofus than I
Do you think
thought."
she got a bit moist?
I think so. She's like, "Oh, this motherfucker can use a grenade."
I'm really
launcher."
sorry, but every time you say grenade, it makes me think of Jersey Shore.
Grenade.
Do you remember what grenades are?
Yeah, I've fallen on a few grenades
You
in my time.
definitely have. Grenades, by the way, just in case you haven't seen Jersey Shore, which you really should because it's so bad, but it's actually amazing.
It's a total pig. You have to get away from the hot girl. So
it's when you're clubbing,
she's not blocking.
Yeah. It's when you get a hot girl or a group of hot girls is always going to be a pig, and unfortunately, one of your mates is probably going to have to take the fall. So the idea is that they're grenades, and the idea that the dance floor's a battlefield, and then you get the really big girls, and they're the grenade launchers. Absolutely amazing. Yeah. Anyway, back to the 2 minutes. I have to deviate somewhere.
No, it was good. It was relevant. I'll allow it.
Do you not think that when the T-1000 plops himself through the windscreen, and I've actually thought this a couple of times watching T-1000 as it moves and the shapes that it creates, do you know what it reminds me of? It makes me think of like an alien. It's almost not like it's a robot. It's almost like it's some kind of creature from outer space. Do you know what I mean? The way it moves. When it first comes out of the
windscreen. I take issue with that because it doesn't look good.
But
it looks really animated.
Yeah, the shape of it. I don't know. As I was watching, I was like, this looks like something out of like Alien.
And I know it's 6 of one and half a dozen of the other arguing about it. And even though it's 25 years ago and the special effects are, I guess, not as good in commas, it looked better in the 25 years ago one versus that coming when he pours, like I said, through the windscreen of that helicopter. Looks great.
Yeah.
That looked really badly animated.
I think in Terminator 2 it looks a lot more crisp and almost like it could actually be real. But I think that's the whole issue with... That is my issue with CGI these days. Because it's so perfect and they make it almost too fluid, it loses any kind of realisticness. No. I'm just saying in relation to, say, I don't know, like the CGI Arnold. One of the issues... one of the only issues I have with the CGI Arnold is the fact that when he moves, you can tell it's not him. Because it's like...
No
they can't quite get down natural human movement, and that's understandable.
I think when the Brett Azar stuff was a couple of episodes back, I was going to say issues. It's not a comic book. Well, there have been Terminator comic books. No, I mean when he fights Arnold, that's Brett Azar, I think, with a like a green screen head, and they've like matted Arnold's head onto it, and you think there was a kind of like they did a kind of pass on his body as well to like. I guess to match the animation on the head. I don't know.
I have a question.
Yeah, I think the reflections of the T-1000 as he comes through the windscreen are not reflective, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. No pun intended, of the actual environment as they're driving through it.
Question. Did we decide, or has it been discussed, or have we been told that the T-1000 Terminators, can they only replicate other human beings, or can they become inanimate objects?
An object of equal size or mass. Yes, they can, because he mimicked a mirror. So Robert Patrick mimicked a checkerboard floor.
Yeah, but he wasn't a mirror. It's almost like he came through the mirror.
No. He was the mirror.
Was he actually the mirror?
Yeah, that's so... Well, in the second one, when he rises
out
of the floor...
but you see the mirror, and then you see him rise... Yeah, but he was rising out of the floor. Oh, God.
There's an episode...
I know what you mean, and you get the piece of paper and do this.
You remember that episode?
Yes, I remember.
We explained lifts to Ellie, Terminator 2.
But as the T-1000 walks away from the mirror, the mirror's still there.
Yeah.
So he's not a mirror.
No.
He becomes a part of the mirror.
No. He goes completely flat to the width of paper almost, and literally just spreads himself over a surface and then mimics that surface the same way when he walks over the linoleum floor in Terminator 2.
Yeah, but I guess that's what I mean, because obviously he's not actually a man.
You go from wafer thinness, and then the mass just collects in the middle and starts rising out into the shape of the human head and shoulders. So what question are you exactly asking, if you know what I'm talking about? And you clearly know
Well, then
what
it's not an inanimate object. It can't become an inanimate object then, because then it would have to cover something. What I mean is, can it take form of something else?
I'm sure, yeah.
So the reason I asked that question is when the T-1000 does that, instead of turning back into the human being of this cop, which he's not doing very well at because he keeps being, stopped, I would just, why not turn yourself into a huge block of metal and just, throw yourself into the back of the van, and that's it. You've crushed them, dead.
Because
done.
he still needs some forward momentum to kind of jump. So in his human form, he could make that big jump. He couldn't.
Yeah, so he could jump, and then mid-air, because as we've seen, as he moves, he can control parts of the unit without it being a part of his body, as we see in this same scene, and it's a bit that we both really like and appreciate. And that's when he cuts his arm off, throws it into the air, and then it turns into a spear in the air, and it's not even.
Well, he should have done that from the cop car.
He should have done that from the word go.
And then at least, and even if he missed, a piece of him would have been in the van.
A piece of me will always be with you.
Just would have been just like wriggling around like the Thing, just stabbing at people. I don't know.
That's another thing it makes me think of.
I think it's just bad use of the character, though. I think they used Robert Patrick quite sparingly, and when he was there, he was moving really fast. And etc. This guy doesn't seem that kind of proactive, even though he's like doing things like leaping off a burning car.
He's not scary. He doesn't have the look down. Robert Patrick's look when he looked pure. Look at him,
an intense presence.
It was so and you're just like, wow, that's amazing. He's a really, really good actor. Maybe it's just the strength of this guy's acting.
No, it's not just that. Sometimes it's just the look. He just had a very like staring Rick Sterrison face, which helped.
Did you notice the little homage back to Terminator 2 when Robert Patrick is running after the car? And then he jumps on, gets on, and he's got the two hooks. But then they obviously shoot one of the hooks, which I guess would be his hand, and then he flies off backwards. And that's exactly what happens here.
I think that's just lazy filmmaking, though they could have found better ways of dispatching him. By the way, the T-1000 not been able to form complex machines with moving parts and chemicals, which is what Arnold said. How does he? Well, we're going to come to it in the next episode. He puts a little piece of him inside the T-800 and repairs it.
True.
But yeah, he could form like a block.
At the end of the day, the amount of times they've played around
with... piano on his head. It was the piano.
The amount of times they've time travelled, that could be a T-1000.5.
Well, as we've said, none of this really makes sense, does it? Ellie, did you know that Megan Ellison, she's related to Harlan Ellison, who
I don't know who that is.
James Cameron. Well, we'll come to that. Harlan Ellison. Successfully kind of settled out of court in commas with James Cameron because claims he stole the idea for the Demon with the Glass Hand and Outer Limits episode, and an episode called Soldier, which I think starred Warren Oates. So it's two 60s Outer Limits episodes. Megan Ellison, a relation of his, acquired the series rights in June 2011. This is the series of films. After very much aggressive bidding put up by the creator Pacificor LLC for the price of $20 million, fending off the closest bidder, Lionsgate Studios, I think made the second one? I think Lionsgate did the third one. Lionsgate Studios, who offered $15 million in order to concentrate on producing art house-based films on her Annapurna label. The rights were then transferred in early 2014 to her brother David Ellison. This is very complex. Previously, rights holders Victor Kubicek and Derek Anderson were forced to relinquish the rights due to Halcyon's debt issues. Halcyon was the company that made Terminator Salvation, so they spent so much money on Salvation they went out of business basically, which resulted in an investigation.
That's right, I slapped myself for you.
By the FBI. I like this reverse psychology. They were investigated by the FBI and the company over alleged hedge fund fraud during the financing of Terminator Salvation. Unbelievable.
Oh, you've done.
I did. Well, it's just because these films are such a mess. It's because so many people have owned them, and there's no kind of through line in the creative process. There's no kind of like figurehead when James Cameron left to kind of steer these ships, as it were. And I think this is why these films are so messy, and the quality is like up and down. Even within the film itself, you'll have good bits and then terrible bits, and the overall it's just underwhelming. And the reason is, it's like sex with Ethan. The reason is so many people have owned them and fought over, who owns these films, and then not actually produced a good film, as evidenced with Terminator Salvation, which was weirdly better than 3, but still much of a muchness. What
did you think about the shot where the obviously the car has been shot by Jai? That looks like a pretty badass gun. And the car's been flipped, it's burst into flames, they drive off, and then you see the car overturned, burning, and then you see the liquid metal kind of like oozing out. I did quite like that, and the burning car made me think of Christine. It did.
It's good.
I just heard the John Carpenter synth just playing over it, like in my head.
I like it. My only question would be,
again, it's a bit of a homage again, isn't it?
Why would the T-1000 be a puddle? Because it's not.
Exactly.
hot enough to
Jai
puddleise him.
Jai didn't actually hit the T-1000.
I always think of
RoboCop
RoboCop too. You know, when the car gets hit by a rocket launcher and it flips and then the foot comes out of the burning car.
Yeah.
I was thinking of RoboCop 2 more than anything.
Fair enough.
Ellie, we've got a letter, and we've was sent this on the 20th of September, 7 days ago, by
Who's it
one of
from?
our favourite listeners. In fact, probably our favourite listener. Sorry, John Nichols. But about equal footing.
Whatever. John Nichols has gone over to Bill Burr.
Well, his show is better.
The ginger speckle. See you next Tuesday.
Old freckle tits.
Old freckles.
Billy Mutton Chops.
Did you listen to it today?
I've listened to some of it, yeah.
Did you hear the story about him kicking the mouse?
Yeah.
Oh my god! Every morning I'm just like crying from listening to this guy. Oh my god, the story about kicking the mouse, that was incredible.
Do you want to read the letter from Spalding?
3 great... Only because you can't.
This will relate to a different episode. So he's talking about an episode from a week before when he sent it, and we're doing it a week after.
Bear in mind, I've never read this before, so it's not going to flow quite right.
Take your time.
Hey guys, welcome back. All-Star Week was great. I hope you guys can do something like that again in the future.
See, everyone loved it.
No
one likes us too.
It kind of sucks that Steele didn't like the movie, but whatever, you can't please them all. I'll throw it out there right away that I like this movie, and I'm still holding out hope for the sequels. If for nothing else than to find out who sent Pops back for Sarah, but that's a discussion for a future show. Wow, he's way ahead of us. Anyway, I wanted to write in to throw my 2 cents about how humans and Terminators come through time displacement fields. Ellie had said that she wonders why humans get thrown through, whereas Arnie comes through and ends up crouched on his feet. I don't necessarily think that humans get tossed through. Kyle was thrown and just fell. For some reason, Kyle's matter displacement sphere appeared mid-air in the alley and not on the ground like Arnie's in the T-1000's arrival. Nice. Arnie. No one can obsess quite like Spaldner. I believe they just mimicked the fall from the original movie in Genesis, just like all the other shot-for-shot scenes coming up, which is also one of the things I really like about this movie. Exactly, it's because it reminds you of the old film. I love how they basically, Ellie, it's up to you if you want to hit Ethan for me. Just saying basically. Ethan hits himself. Copied these scenes from the first movie. It would be cool to watch a side by side and see how closely they came to being exact. Okay, that's all I have for now. I promise I'll have a bigger book for you to read next time. Keep up the great work, guys, and congrats again on gaining all these new listeners. Aw, thanks, Baldner.
And well, here's
Such
an addendum
bird.
to your letter in reverse. Do you want to actually come on and be a call-in guest, Spaldner?
Oh my God, Spaldner, please call in.
I'm scared to because I like the mystique of him. I like to think.
Do you know what he could do though? He could get like one of those Bane voice masks, and he could still remain incognito. Plus,
yeah.
that
Have you got any voice disrupted technology from your
time
in
what's
the
that thing
CIA?
saying like True Lies, where they go in, they
Versus Tasker.
Who do you work for?
Who do you work for?
What did you need? I needed to not watch Genesis. Yes, no, thank you so much.
I need a woman to make me feel as well. Mel Gibson was saying. Did you like the Mel Gibson trailers? I say to remind you how cool Mel is.
I absolutely loved them.
Mad Mel, and he's disarming the bomb in 3.
I've got so much entertainment for my journeys to and from work. So in the morning, it's Bill Burr and Bigfoot. Oh, we lost the sponsor. They don't like how I do the copy. 60% of tickets aren't sold. What's the butter?
Butter.
The shaving butter.
Dr. Cavi's Easy Shave
Shaving
Butter.
Dr.
And the Zip Recruiter, he did say. He did it slightly different. Yeah, anyway, so we've digressed massively. I'm looking at my wrong notes. Oh, shit. Okay. What am I looking at? Ah! Oh, yeah. So, when the car stops, watch. The fake fall by Jai.
They do that in Star Trek. They wag all the camera at the people.
If you guys are watching it, I actually made a note. It's at 58 seconds. This fake fall that he does into the side of the car is so bad. What? Oh, you've gone too far. You overshot it.
You've blown it.
And that's what she said. Go to 58 seconds. I worked it out exactly. There you go. Keep going.
All right, RoboCop scene of T-1000 melting out of a car. Here we go, driving into Blade's lair from Blade 2. Oh, there we go.
What do they call it? Overacting.
Well, no, they do that.
Pretend to fall into a wall.
Have you seen the Star Trek Stabilize video on YouTube?
No.
Because basically, when they're being hit by rockets and things,
Oh, no, I have seen it.
they can't make the set move, so the actors go, whoa, and they wobble. They don't wobble the set, they wobble themselves, so someone stabilizes. They're just going...
Have you heard of the game Shatner?
No.
If someone shouts Shatner, whatever you're doing, you have to make it really over the top, like William Shatner does when something like epic happens in Star Trek. It's a great game. You've been Shatnered. It's good.
What was I going to say? I came up, we said this wrongfully in the last episode. I've got a cock up.
Cock up.
You've already heard it. You heard it in yesterday's episode, but I'm going to say it again. When Pops drags the defeated Terminator skeleton, or the defeated Terminator with the missing nose, the one we mentioned earlier, when he beats up the 1984 Arnold, basically, in CGI, he drags a dummy of the Terminator's endoskeleton in plastic, wrapped in plastic, to the underground layer near the beginning of the movie. He drops it purposefully, and it says here the feet bounce as if they were lightweight or coated in rubber. I don't think that at all. They don't, they just drop. And they had a sound effect to reiterate that.
Yeah.
It's really strange. It says clearly the Terminator would have been made of heavy material and the feet wouldn't bounce. It's just like, they
Why
don't
are you talking
bounce.
like Sophie?
They don't bounce, though.
Bounce.
If you watch it, they don't bounce.
Bounce. No, they don't bounce. Was that IMDb?
Yeah.
I'm serious. I'm shocked.
I was going to say, Emilia
I thought
Clarke,
it was
by the
gospel.
way, would later work with Jenna Coleman in the 2016 film Me Before You. Jenna Coleman, of course, played Clara Oswald, companion of the 11th Doctor, Matt Smith, in Doctor who plays Skynet in this film.
Ooh.
Cock up number 2.
Cock up. Bing, bing.
When Kyle fires his assault rifle at the T-1000, the rifle's muzzle flash appears, but there is no recoil.
Total recoil.
I'm assuming they're low-yield, blank, flash bullets.
That means absolutely nothing to me.
Spalding will know.
Spalding, what's the gun that Jai uses?
I said it in the last episode. I forgot what I said, but I did mention that when he fires
It looks
the
really
gun,
badass.
the distance between him and the subject he's firing at would stop the grenades from... here we go. In the car chase between the Start again. Hi. In the car chase between the T-1000 and the protagonist, Kyle, and Sarah Connor, Kyle fires a 40mm grenade from under the barrel of the grenade launcher at what seems like less than 10 yards. 40mm shells have the safety fuse which inhibits them from exploding at a range less than 40 yards to avoid fratricide. I'm assuming that's the person that fires the gun dying. Oh, I fratricided my pelvis. Yes, this was already explained to James Cameron by his brother, who was a Marine in Terminator 2. So they got it right in Terminator 2. They just didn't get it right in Terminator Salvation. You know why? Because Nolan's brother was a soldier. Maybe Spaldner is Cameron's brother who served. Thank you for serving.
Thanks for serving, dude. Although we're not American, so
it's like keeping an eye on us for Cameron. It's like the best thing about the Terminator franchise right now. Oh, what is it? It's not the films. What, even the one I like to know, not Genesis, James. It's this weird podcast that no one's heard of.
We get this dialogue between Jai and Emily, and that he's like, "Oh, but you know, why have the plans changed? What's going on?" And she's just like, "Well, they sent a Terminator to kill back in time to kill me when I was 9 years old."
Right.
And then Jai says, "Oh yeah, but Terminators can only come from the future." It's like, what's that got to do with anything? Of course they come from the future. You're not going to get a Terminator coming from the past. They've sent a Terminator from the future back to when Sarah was 9. It's like, oh my god. And also his acting, when Sarah's walking away and he goes, "Sarah," he's like,
Sarah.
It's just bad. Ethan, I could do a better job than Jai. I know I could.
Acting's not really hard if you get in. Just remember your lines and say them with a bit of charisma.
Although apparently, when you go for auditions, most people don't remember their lines. So, hey ho. Also, I think I spotted an ever so slight cock up, but I could be wrong.
Is it called the entire film? If so,
Yes.
you're correct.
When they stop after the really bad fall that Jai does, Sarah pulls like a bag with guns and she goes, "You gonna help me?" And then she's like, "Pops, blah 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 blah," and she's talking to the front of the van. Arnie isn't actually in the front of the van. You can just see like an empty seat.
Let's have a look.
You have to rewind it. Keep going.
Keep going.
Keep going.
Let's have a look.
Keep
Let's have a
going.
look.
Right, stop here.
Oh, hang on. Look at the reflection in the glass next to Jai before he does the fake bump. Hang on. No, that's her getting out of the van. Yeah.
Pops is not there.
Arnold wasn't there for that day of shooting. He's already out of the van by miles, dragging the Terminator.
Arnie wasn't there.
Yeah. Oh well.
Oh well. They were all my notes.
Well, that's lovely. We shall return, of course, tomorrow with episode 19. If you are enjoying the show, please tell all your friends about it, and please do a star review and write a little bit about
preferably.
it. Yeah, if you do a sort of review on iTunes, it would be much appreciated. That's any of our listeners in India or Mexico, bizarrely, or
why are you wearing
Asia.
your broken glasses and not?
Because I found my broken glasses.
They were always outside the room.
But the ones I got the other day to replace these are actually more powerful, so I'm going to damage my eyes long term until I get my normal glasses back. So I'm wearing the broken ones for now. Okay. Also, if you want to follow along with the clip we're talking about, you can go to 2 Minute Terminator on YouTube, and we'll talk ad infinitum over the repeating clip, so you can see that Arnie doesn't get out of the cab. You can see the crappy CGI on the T1000. You can see Joy Courtney doing a fake, doing a Shatner, if you will.
Yeah.
And,
Shatner.
So yeah, you can also like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. So please do that. The reason I was depressed, or I opened the show with a heavy heart, I just recorded a 2-hour podcast with a guest for Questionable, and
whose, I will say, appearance was questionable.
Yes, and it recorded my mic, but not theirs. So
actually, do you know what he reminded me of? You know, you get those like crazy ladies that walk around Camden with like loads of layers of things on and like all different coloured dyed hair. A little bit like that.
Close enough. You in the future then, basically.
Oh yeah, because I've got really crazy hair.
Ellie, my darling, do you have anything to add to this scintillating 2 minutes?
Hasta la vista.
Okay.
That was my
baby.
addition. Last word?
Ooh.
Watch out for machine.